When you ask a direct question to someone in charge, you are due. That person is morally bound to give you an answer. He's not bound to agree with you, but he's bound to stop and answer your question. And the left never did that. They would dismiss you out of hand. You are not worth listening to. Be quiet.
All of this turned out not to be true. It turned out it was the right who are obsessed with censorship. It's the right who are banning books, canceling culture, defunding universities that don't fall under their very strict agendas now, arresting people off the street for their speech. If you say something like Free Palestine, that can get you fucking arrested and deported. Turning Point USA is going down. Apparently Tucker Carlson is doing the rounds because he spoke out against Israel, which is getting a lot of people excited, while at the same time being horrifying.
Gentlemen, Tucker Carlson.
Thank you. I never missed a Charlie Kirk event because I love Charlie Kirk and I know Charlie Kirk very well.
Ew.
But I always forget what the walkout is like, and I feel like I'm gonna have a seizure. Like, anyway, thank you so much for having me. This is more people in one place than I've seen since the last Charlie Kirk event I was at, so it's hilarious. So I noticed everyone's been talking about Epstein tonight, and I want to...
Okay, so just to be clear, I have this sped up.
Kind of differ from the crowd a little bit in saying that. I watched Ben Shapiro yesterday, and now before you boo me, I thought he made a really solid point. He's like, it happened a long time ago. Who cares? And by the way, we should trust the government and whatever the bureaucrats tell us. And by the way, it's wrong to ask a lot of unauthorized questions. So I just want to go on the record to say that, I think that's absurd. And it's exactly the kind of thinking that I personally voted against in the last election. In the last election, I spent a lot of the month of October campaigning with and for the president. I voted for the president. I never vote for anybody generally. I know they're always telling you, you must vote or you can't have an opinion. Oh, shut up. I don't like to vote, but I did vote this time. And I don't like to vote because I don't believe in any of them. And this time I really felt like I know Trump well. I love Trump personally. And what we were looking at was just so awful and totalitarian and stupid. And it wasn't even the arguments that I disagreed with from the Kamala Harris. It's weird to even say her name now. Who was that exactly? It was like a bad dream. But it wasn't even so much the arguments I disagreed with, though I definitely disagreed with the arguments. It was the style of argument that drove me completely bonkers, summarized most crisply by shut up racist. Whatever you said, it was shut up racist. And it's like, but wait, first of all, I'm not a racist, but that's not even the point. The point is, I just told you what I think. I just asked you an entirely legitimate question, mostly.
Optics Andy? Yeah, not just that. It's just like, in your circles, who has ever called you a racist? I keep hearing this cry from, like, every supposedly, the people who really suffer in the world, gamers, right? Gamers or young men who are like, you told us that we were all evil, that we were misogynists and white supremacists. You called us rapists and sexual assaulters with the Me Too movement, and we were raised in that and told that we were all evil, and now we have become everything. I was like, no, I'm sorry. If every single one of you is just like, oh, yeah, mild criticism or pushback made me have to turn into a Nazi. I had no other choice. I think you wanted to be that, though. I think that it's not like you just, like, slipped into it and you Mr. Magoo'd yourself into Nazism, right? I don't think people telling you you shouldn't use slurs was, like, your breaking point. Oh, what? Don't use slurs, you say? What if I shaved my head and put a swastika on my chest? That's not at all what I was just saying. Maybe stop using those words. They're kind of mean, kind of cruel. This is a strange argument.
What the hell are you doing? And rather than answer it, you didn't pay me the respect that you would a human being. You treated me like a slave or an animal by telling me to stop barking. Shut up, racist. And I won't put up with that because I'm not a slave or an animal. I'm an American citizen. And
your wording is very, like, intentional, is it not? If I didn't stop barking, if I'm not allowed to use my dog whistle or dog bell or dog megaphone, all of a sudden you're going to treat me like the slave. That's what's happening here.
Adult man who pays his taxes. So you know, I ask people questions for a living, and very often I get answers that I don't care
Have
for.
I pre-watched this? No. I've only seen the clip where he talks about, I don't know what point it comes up. That's the reason I wanted to watch this in the first place. He talks about the Epstein files. He talks about the potential links to both Jeffrey Epstein, to Mossad and other individuals, and that had a lot of people on the left sharing that video. I saw a lot of people being like, I can't believe it. Worst person you know made a point. I can't believe it. Worst person you know is actually talking about how Donald Trump was covering up the Epstein files. Maybe things are changing or something like that. And then I saw, I think like Hassanabi shared a video of him also being his old white supremacist self, where he's talking about the filth of immigrants and how great it is that ICE is rounding them up. So it's like on one end he's like, well, I'm getting some of the things I wanted. You know, I'm seeing all of those filthy Mexicans. They're getting, you know, put in cages. I love that. That's what gets me off. But also, I don't know how I feel about the Epstein cover-up, because it's pretty obvious and clear. Not sure where I sit on that one. Then, you know, it kind of a plus-minus thing here.
Or that I disagree with, that I think are stupid, but at least they're answers. At least the person responding is treating me like a human being with a soul created in the image of the Creator. He's paying me the respect that every human being is due. When you ask a direct question to someone in charge, you are due. That person is morally bound to give you an answer. He's not bound to agree with you, but he's bound to stop and answer your question. And the left never did that. They would dismiss you out of hand. You are not worth listening to. Be quiet. And that's, of course, where the impulse to censorship comes from. It comes from the belief that you don't deserve to speak because you're not fully human. They own you.
All of this turned out not to be true. It turned out it was the right who are obsessed with censorship. It's the right who are banning books, canceling culture, defunding universities that don't fall under their very strict agendas now, arresting people off the street for their speech. If you say something like free Palestine, that can get you fucking arrested and deported. Well, I mean, those aren't American citizens. It's like, yeah, that shouldn't matter. They still have a constitutional protection to their speech. These are people who are here legally. These are people here who have green cards, their student visas, whatever the case may be. They're legally entitled to protection within the United States. You don't enter the United States legally and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, you have no rights. Yeah, no, we can do whatever the fuck we want to you. I mean, that's what the case is now, very blatantly. That's what it's become.
And that's what I voted against above all. I voted against a million different things that I hated about the last administration. Their insane desire to start pointless wars around the world, their total unwillingness to protect this country domestically, to protect the people who live here, to protect the territorial integrity of the country, bringing in tens of millions of people illegally, giving them free stuff the second they get here, making a mockery of citizenship.
Not real.
I hated all of that. I hated all of that. But the thing I hated most was their total unwillingness to answer any question about why they were doing what they were doing, because it was just too insulting. And every single time I would just feel like raising the middle finger and screaming obscenities, which is not an adult response, I'll concede, but that's how I felt. And I think that's really at the heart of why the Epstein thing is so distressing. I mean,
okay, so now I guess hopefully we're going to get to the good part. But up until now, it's basically been like, you call me mean names. I didn't like the mean names. You wouldn't answer the questions. And you call me the mean names. So I called you the mean names. And that's why I had to become a Nazi. I had no choice.
Some weird sex freak who was abusing girls.
When I came to America, they gave me a free Nintendo Switch. It's true? What? Mario Kart World? Oh God, I gotta risk it. I gotta risk it for the biscuit. In this case, the Switch kit, because I gotta get into the United States now. Goddamn, I didn't know that's how it was. I thought that they would just question me for hours based on my political beliefs and then put me in a detainment center for about a month before returning me to Canada and saying don't come back. That's why I'm really scared. But I didn't know you just get a free Switch. Oh, that's pretty cool.
We knew that. But the fact that the US government, the one that I voted for, refused to take my question seriously and instead said, case closed, shut up, conspiracy theorist, was too much for me. And I don't think the rest of us should be satisfied with that. And by the way, let me just say really quickly, because I was so mad about it that I think I found out part of what's going on. I think we are going to find out more. And I think the truth, for whatever it's worth, in case you're interested, is that the DOJ didn't release lots of incriminating sex videos with Epstein and his billionaire pals because they don't have them. They don't have them because when the original search warrant was served, 2007, I think, possibly 2006, I think 7, it was basically designed to protect Epstein. The search warrant was written in such a way to make sure that the feds never got their hands on the actually incriminating evidence. It's another way of saying the cover-up has been going on since 2007, almost 20 years. And so the real question is not, was Jeffrey Epstein a weirdo who was abusing girls? Yes, we can answer that. The real question is, why was he doing this, on whose behalf, and where did the money come from? And those are the questions that need to be answered. And I think it's entirely fair.
Some of those questions, sure. I know the answer as to why he was doing it. He was a pedophile. He was a rapist pedophile. That's why he was doing it. And we already know that part. That is not interesting to me in the slightest. What is interesting and why I think people will not stop thinking about this is, what about all the other rapist pedophiles that he was entertaining on a regular basis who happened to be rich, powerful men in positions of extreme wealth, and why they would want any of this to be exposed? That's the interesting part. I don't care about why Epstein was a pedophile. You want to be like, well, let's look into the background. Let's look into his childhood. No, I don't give a fuck. I'm glad he's not around to abuse children anymore.
To say anyone who asked them is somehow desecrating the memory of little girls who died in Texas, I'm not going to put up with that answer. I don't care who gives that answer. That is not acceptable. And I think the real answer is Jeffrey Epstein was working on behalf of intel services, probably not American. And we have every right to ask, on whose behalf was he working? How does a guy go from being a math teacher at the Dalton School in the late 70s with no college degree to having multiple airplanes, a private island, and the largest residential house in Manhattan? Where did all the money come from? And no one has ever gotten to the bottom of that because no one has ever tried. And moreover, it's extremely obvious to anyone who watches that this guy had direct connections to a foreign government. Now, no one's allowed to say that that foreign government is Israel because we have been somehow cowed into thinking that that's naughty. There is nothing wrong with saying that. There is nothing hateful about saying that. There's nothing anti-Semitic about saying that. There's nothing even anti-Israel about saying that. I've spent my entire life pretty much in Washington, where I knew and loved a number of people, including one very close person who worked at CIA. That has never prohibited me from saying, I think the CIA has done some horrible things, murdered a bunch of people, participated in the murder of a sitting US president. It's got a whole trail of crimes. That doesn't make me a disloyal American. It doesn't make me anti-American in any sense. I was born here. My family's been here for hundreds of years. I love this country. That's why I live here. So criticizing the behavior of a government agency does not make you a hater. It makes you a free person. It makes you a citizen.
Is there any evidence outside of speculation, like conclusive proof, that that tie is real, though? The Mossad one? Because, like, from what I've read, there's the Ghislaine Maxwell's background, Robert Maxwell. He's a British media mogul. He's been suspected of working with Israeli intelligence, but there's no direct evidence of that. After his death, there was, several journalists, intelligence insiders that he claims that he had tied to Mossad, Seymour Hersh, and Israeli officials, but that's as far as that one went. There's the blackmail theory. Epstein recorded powerful individuals and underage girls for the purposes of blackmail, but again, there's no direct or hard evidence of that. The unusual legal leniency, I don't think it's unusual. I think time and time again, billionaires or rich and powerful men seem to be able to get away with a lot of horrifying shit as a result of being rich and powerful. It's like that seems to be way more for people who are interested in the sheer conspiracy side of things, of which there is, again, no conclusive proof, right?
You're allowed to do that because you're not a slave, you're a citizen. And you have a right to expect that your government will not act against your interests, and you have a right to demand that foreign governments not be allowed to act against your interest. That's not creepy. It shouldn't be forbidden. And yet all of us have trained our...
He's had meetings before with Israeli prime ministers or officials. Yeah, but I mean, by that metric, so have fucking shit tons of billionaires and, again, rich and powerful people. I don't know if that's a direct evidence of proof.
Ourselves to believe that you can't say that somehow, that that's like too naughty and forbidden. And the effect of making that off limits has been to create a lot of resentment, and I'll say it, hate online, where people feel like they can't just say, like, what the hell is this? You have the former Israeli prime minister living in your house. You have had all this contact with the foreign government. Were you working on behalf of Mossad? Were you running a blackmail operation on behalf of a foreign government? By the way, every single person in Washington, D.C. thinks that. I've never met anyone who doesn't think that. I don't know any of them that hate Israel, but no one feels they can say that. Why? And I think the longer that we play along with it, the more subterranean and creepy and hateful the conversation actually becomes. So I think it's better just to say it right out loud. Did this happen? And of course, that question has been asked to the government of Israel, and their answer is, we're not going to tell you. And I think our answer should be, no, no, no. As long as we're sending you money, if you were committing crimes on our soil, we have an absolute right to know, did you do this or not?
Yeah, I think more than anything, what's interesting about this is let them fight. Let a significant section of the right turn on itself and all fight each other. If the right are going to be mad at Donald Trump for covering up the Epstein files, as they should, by the way, because it's very clear that he's covering up the Epstein files, my suspicion is that doesn't have anything to do with, you know, Trump's ties to Israel, but Trump being all over the Epstein files. I think would be a lot more of a reason, at least in my assessment, as to why Donald Trump would want to do that kind of stuff, right? And yes, Epstein died when Trump was the president of the United States. There's that as well. And this whole thing about like doctoring the tapes, taking the minute out, and then as soon as you did that, it's like, well, it's actually pretty obvious that like a minute is missing. Oh yeah, that happens every night. What? Okay, well, the metadata shows that this was edited specifically recently in Adobe Premiere. Oh, wait, what's metadata? Oh, God. You didn't know what you were doing, did you? Yeah, the longer this goes on, the better. And also, the louder people start getting about it. Because, again, I think the majority of Democrats, for whatever reason, are unwilling to really speak up about this. This seems like a slam dunk. Like, I've talked a lot of shit about Ro Khanna, but at least he's doing something. Khanna calls for the vote to release the full Epstein files to the public. The Trump administration is facing suspicion from all sides of bringing information about the convicted sex criminal who has a well-documented history with Trump. This is about transparency and restoring trust, not partisan politics, said Khanna. U.S. Representative Ro Khanna said he will attempt to force a vote in Congress to release all of the government's files pertaining to the notorious financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. On Tuesday, I'm introducing an amendment to force the vote demanding the full Epstein files be released to the public. Speaker Mike Johnson must call a vote and put every Congress member on record. The administration of President Donald Trump has been accused in recent days of covering up information about the extent of the financier's crimes and his connections to powerful individuals. This is a good play. This is a good play for a number of reasons. One, this has the potential to actually have and cause rifts within the politicians on the right. There is politicians on the right who will not be able to do 100% loyalty to Donald Trump on this particular issue. They can do it for a ton of other things, and they can definitely be scared into falling in line. But on the Epstein files, some of them will be like, yeah, I want to see them. I mean, my constituents want to see them. And because I'm not personally on them, there's no reason for me to want to hide them. It looks bad if you get on the record of being like, I want to cover up the Epstein files as a matter of, like, you know, public. Whether or not Democrats would also be in a position, that's also interesting. Are they going to be like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this, you know? Though his death was officially ruled a suicide, some have speculated that Epstein was murdered to prevent him from implicating other elite clients in a sex trafficking ring. Epstein had a relationship with the powerful individuals, including former President Bill Clinton and the UK's Prince Andrew. Trump also has a well-documented history with Epstein. They've been extensively photographed together. And last year, an audio tape was released in which Epstein described himself as Donald Trump's closest friend. In June, amid a public falling out with the president, billionaire Elon Musk said the Trump administration, which had just departed, was covering up the files to protect Trump. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files, she wrote. That's the real reason they have not been made public. During the 2024 campaign, Trump said he would probably release the so-called Epstein files to the public. Meanwhile, many members of the Department of Justice, including FBI Director Kash Patel, rose to prominence in part by accusing Joe Biden's administration of covering up the secrets. So, of the people who are still questioning it, Tim Pool posted this. In 2023, Kash Patel said Epstein's black book was under the direct control of the director of the FBI.
Who has Jeffrey Epstein's
Black Book?
black book?
FBI.
But who? That is I mean, there's.
Oh, that's under direct control of the director of the FBI. Just like the manifesto from the Nashville school shooting
Yes.
of the Catholic schools.
Yeah. Who has Jeffrey?
Interesting. It's hard to know specifically why, but it's clear at the very least we are being lied to. The question is, were they lying to gain power, or are they lying now to keep power? I wonder why anyone who's in a position of power who might be on the Epstein list would cover it up. Matt Walsh came back from vacation to kind of just arrive in a burning building and be like, Jesus Christ, what's going on with the right? Up until 10 seconds ago, there was unanimous agreement that Epstein was a pedophile and a sex trafficker with high-profile clientele who all must be exposed and brought to justice. Now, out of the blue. We're being told that none of this is true, and anyone who believes this thing that everyone believed is a whack job and a conspiracy theorist. This is the kind of shameless 180-degree, unexplained pivot that leftists typically specialize in. Very weird to see it happening on the right. Like when has that ever happened on the left? Where the left have been consistently like, hey, by the way, this is how climate change works. Yes, climate change is real. Yes, climate change. And then all of a sudden it's like, 3% of scientists actually disagree with the general consensus. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's going to be quacks in any field. Like, the overwhelming amount of evidence is pointing towards this. It's not something you really gotta worry about. But yeah, I think he made a post. I just want to not pull up the sum total of all his stuff. Oh yeah, even right-wing outlets like the Daily Mail are posting stories. Exclusive. Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, also known as Ghislaine, is ready to reveal the truth of the pedophile client list, say insiders. So why are Republicans blocking her? Ghislaine Maxwell is willing to speak in front of Congress about the Epstein files, sources tell the Daily Mail. Maxwell, 63, is the only person behind bars, serving 20 years on child sex trafficking charges, despite the fact that pedophile Jeffrey Epstein allegedly controlled a web of underage girls. Additionally, Epstein's victims alleged they were passed around as sex toys to his wealthy friends, billionaire business associates, who regularly visited the homes, including a private island in Little St. James. Now, a source says, despite the rumors, Ghislaine was never offered any kind of plea deal. She would be more than happy to sit before Congress and tell her story. No one from the government has ever asked her to share what she knows. She remains the only person to be jailed in connection to Epstein, and she would welcome the chances to tell the American public the truth. What the truth is remains to be seen. Maxwell was convicted in 2022 over her role in a scheme to sexually exploit and abuse multiple minor girls with Epstein over the course of a decade. Maxwell argues that she should have been protected from prosecution as part of the non-prosecution agreement made by Epstein, her former lover and boss, in 2007 when he agreed to plead guilty to 2 minor charges of prostitution in a, quote, sweetheart deal, which saw him spend a little time behind bars. And now, controversy continues to rage over the Department of Justice statement that there was no Epstein client list, and the release of the videos from inside New York's Metropolitan Correction Center, in which the DOJ says proves he committed suicide in 2019 while being held in jail on sex trafficking charges. Critics have pointed out the fact that there is a crucial minute missing from the jailhouse videos that does not show the door or indeed the inside of Epstein's jail cell. The scandal, an alleged cover-up, has prompted a rebellion amongst the President Trump's loyal MAGA base. Some even believe Attorney General Pam Bondi should be fired after promising to release all the files related to Epstein and his high-profile male friends, only to appear to renege on that promise. I want to add to this, by the way, because right now you're seeing people like, you know, weirdos saying that ultimately MAGA does not it's not a cult. It doesn't follow whatever Trump does. It does not, you know, adore him as a supreme leader, all this kind of stuff. Look, there's people getting upset about this and talking about this, including pundits. They're speaking out about this. They're all going after Pam Bondi. They'll eventually go after Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. They're not going after Trump. They're saying it's unusual what Trump's doing. They don't understand it. What is it? Alex Jones is now buying the whole Trump story about like, oh, this is actually the Obama cover-up. This is the Joe Biden cover-up. Whatever you got to do, right? Everyone's trying to basically do whatever they can to get mad, but not get mad at Trump. Trump is still kind of insulated. He's still got a bit of a distance. Like, not a single politician is calling for his impeachment. Not a single politician is saying that we need to get on the record outside of Ro Khanna, but he's a Democrat. We should vote on whether or not the Epstein files get released. The pundits are not demanding that. Again, in the same way, like the anti-war right, in quotation marks here, was saying that like, oh yes, MAGA will never stand by if Trump tries to go to war with Iran. Trump just bombed the fuck out of Iran. Well, yes, but it was strategic, and yes, we shouldn't try and limit his wartime powers, even though that's what you would do if you were anti-war and you actually wanted to do something about this, right? You would probably go forward and like, yeah, I know, sorry, the ads are distracting. I'll close it. We can listen to the spin.
As you know, I just call balls and strikes.
No.
And after years of saying they will release the Epstein file or list, suddenly they're not going to, and we're told it doesn't exist. But then Trump comes out last night and says, well, it does exist, but the Democrats had control of it, manipulated it, which is actually true. They've had control, but they would destroy anything they didn't want in there and leave what they wanted in there that their investigators could plant. So people say, well, then whose side are you on? This is a giant fiasco. I'm trying to call balls and strikes. I'm trying to look at every angle of this and understand what's happening, understand why the Trump administration did a 180 the last few months.
Yeah, because you gotta kind of pretzel yourself to make this all make sense, right? Otherwise, it looks really bad on all of you. You either look as like collaborators, people now willing to cover up the Epstein files, or just gross ass like you believe in nothing. Yeah, the deep state is planning in conjunction with the Donald Trump and the Illuminati and the lizard people and the demons and the Satanists, and they're all collaborating. And like, yeah, Donald Trump was in there. Oh, I'm not Trump. Sorry. Pam Bondi. Here's the one I was talking about. Matt Walsh says, I've come back from vacation to learn that Epstein apparently wasn't an international child sex trafficker, even though he was arrested for being one. There's no client list, even though the Attorney General said she had it on her desk. He did kill himself, even though the video proving it was edited. No prominent or powerful people are implicated, even though dozens of them flew on his plane to his pedophile island. And the whole issue doesn't matter, so we should move on and never talk about it again. Wow, I'm glad that's settled. Matt fucking Walsh, of all people, is able to actually have a little bit of clarity on this and be like, oh, okay. Sorry, I got to take a break from my regular scheduled ignoring all data science and logic, 2 + 2 equals fucking 62, to be like 2 + 2 actually equals 4. And this doesn't add up. The maths don't math. Matt Walsh, of all fucking people.
And particularly last week, and did this, and then blames loyal supporters who support the overall agenda as being traitorous for doing this. Now, we all know what triggered this. It was Elon 2 months ago saying, look, Trump's in the list, and that big breakup there. And then Trump wants it closed. He wants it shut down, which looks extremely, extremely incriminating. But from all of my deep research, never saw Trump involved in any illegal activity with Jeffrey Epstein. So we are simply here tracking this case, not choosing a side, not wanting to make things be what we want them to be, but simply looking at the facts. But I dropped the ball. I didn't even think about the fact. I'm like, oh yeah, if they've had the list and they've had the files for years, the Democrats would take stuff out, destroy it. Well, that's obvious. They would leave in and twist and put in what they wanted. They have a long history of false documents, reports, Crossfire Hurricane, the list goes on and on.
Crossfire Hurricane.
So we've got to investigate this. We've got to keep open minds about this on all angles. But this is the big story. And this has put the Trump administration into a mega massive crisis. And Trump at press conferences and the rest of it saying, don't ask questions, triggers the ultimate Streisand effect and is insane. So I don't know where in the world they're coming up with that plan. We'll continue to track this in live time. We'll cover the good Trump's doing. We'll cover the bad he's doing. To give Trump our ongoing advice, and I'm going to post a video later, do a live show today at 4 p.m. Central, breaking down what I think Trump needs to do to get things back on track. And that's release everything. That's why Steve Bannon wants it released. He went and interviewed Epstein. He knew him. Nothing to hide. You had Alan Dershowitz saying, release it all. Doesn't incriminate me. Okay, well, then release the whole thing. This is not going away. It's only blown up 10 times bigger. It's out of control.
It's out of control.
And this was so obvious a week ago. People said, oh, you're being a traitor. Say this will be a big issue. No, I'm seasoned. I'm informed. I'm involved. I know what's going on.
Okay.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's not going away. I mean, I think in large part due to the fact that Trump just keeps making it worse. None of this would be happening right now if after that first release of the Epstein files, they just stopped talking about it and delayed it until people stopped thinking that it was actually going to be coming out. It's the fact that they did the cover-up, that they got Kash Patel and Dan Bongino on a camera to be like, oh, he did kill himself. Yeah, the exact opposite of what all of us have been saying our entire lives and careers. That's it. Oh, yeah, and also here's the footage. Here's the proof. He killed himself. Here's the outside of the cell. No one comes in or out. Why is there a minute missing? Pam? There's a minute missing because every single night there's a minute missing. It's old equipment. It's how it used to happen. We're being told that we'll hear from the center, so they'll give us some clarification on that. Either way, what proves that he in fact killed himself is the information prior that was released that proves he did in fact kill himself. So, oof, there, ironclad. And then Wired comes out and so a forensics team has looked over the footage and shows that it is in fact doctored, that it's been edited in Adobe Premiere. If you look at the metadata, then it's like, metadata? The fuck's that? Oh shit, yeah, you guys didn't know? You can just ask Big Balls? Is there no one else in the administration who knows anything about this? Like, Jesus Christ, just bring up big balls. Talk to someone. Just bring it up, maybe. I don't know. That didn't help. But then Donald Trump just keeps getting angry. Because, like, he's getting mad the way someone who's done something bad gets mad, right? Like, you know, you've all seen people when they're trying to cover something up. Someone who's like, I was looking at your email that you had on your computer, and it said that, like, you love wearing diapers or something. It's like, why the fuck would you look at my emails? Well, that's the real thing. I wasn't like opening your emails or anything. I just walked by, and then there was like a picture of you in a diaper on the screen. I had to look. I mean, come on, why did you put that? You could have closed it. You could have closed the tab, I'll be honest with you. But anyways, there's a picture of you in the diaper. What's going on there? You invaded my privacy. I'm mad about that. I'm mad about the privacy invasion. No, more than anything. That's what the real issue is here. And Epstein is dead. He's gone. And then you're like, damn, Trump, you're making this worse. All of you. You're all making this so much worse. That message, no one made him send that message. What's up with my boys? And in some cases, gals. Why y'all talking about the Epstein stuff? That was so weird. It just got weirder and weirder. And then, like, even Benny Johnson and Charlie Kirk, the people who support Trump no matter what, had to be like, Trump has released a statement, I guess, something, claiming that the Epstein files were actually Obama, and Obama did it, and Joe Biden, and he also talked about Rosie O'Donnell, so we can bring that one up. I mean, there could be some reasons why Charlie Kirk is wanting to cover shit like this up, right? If you didn't know, I mean, his history is just not great. Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA teamed up with a registered sex offender. Kirk decried the sexualization of kids at a pastor summit. The founder of one of its sponsors was convicted of attempted coercion and enticement of a minor. And there's this. Adam Hagman, Ruben Verastegui, and now Norris Nick Stouffer. They're all staffers at Turning Point USA, and they've all been arrested in a huge federal child CSAM sweep, child sexual abuse material sweep. So a lot of pedos in the organization. Could have something to do with it. I don't know. The more that you deny this and the stranger you get, the more people are talking about it, and it doesn't seem to be going away. They just keep on pushing it. Even Asmongold is turning on y'all.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
The fucking cockroach king. The man who swims and then eats band-aids and whose blood wall fucking is his trophy center. This guy.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis? I'd hired a psychologist to do a psychological profile on Jeffrey Epstein, what type of person he was, and what would actually get under his skin.
Question.
What made him tick was that he was a narcissist. He had no ability to feel empathy.
I would have no way.
And saw himself as the master of puppets, so to speak.
No way. Master of puppets.
Sir, one way.
Well, wait a minute. Oh, apparently that's not true. There aren't any puppets.
It's described your penis oval.
See, he's now switched his content. If you look at like the list of the videos that he's uploading, they're no longer, this is epic, this is base, Trump arrests fucking all these poor fucking immigrants, so happy, it's amazing, I love the alligator Alcatraz. This is like, it's not the bootlicking stuff. He's completely gone like that. And now it's like, what the fuck is up with the Epstein cover-up? Yeah, follow the clicks, probably. That's part of it.
And claim when erect, it was thick towards the bottom, but was thin and small towards the head.
Okay, sorry, I can't watch this. This is just absolutely revolting. But shame on all of you, all right?
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwig, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's patreon.com/theserfs.